Hello, my name is Fiona Stanton from Feast Papercraft. Today I'm taking part in a kind of an Instagram social media challenge collab. I'm part of a Facebook group called Craft Collabs, and we're for all around the world, and every now and then we do challenges. About once a month we try and do different challenges and we can sign up to them. So this month I have been paired with a lady called Priya Saitash, and she is an amazing artist. I was quite daunted when I realised I was paired with her, and she does a whole kind of mixed media feel, very bright colours, lots of layers and lots of flowers and lace and texture, and they're absolutely stunning. So what the idea is that we case or we take inspiration from the work they do. I wasn't comfortable to case her work completely. I don't think I'd be able to do it justice. It's absolutely amazing. I'll have all her links in the information below, so you can go and check out her work, because I really would recommend that you do, because you're just by looking at it you'll learn so much. So what I decided to get my inspiration was from her colours and from using stencils. So this is where I've come up with this card. And I'll try and link the specific post as well that I'm getting inspiration from. So thank you very much, Priya, if you're watching this video. You're an amazing artist, and thank you for the inspiration. So the colours I have used here are Pretty Peacock, Bermuda Bay, and Mango Melody, and I've paired it up with the copper embossing powder and the copper foils. So let's get started, and I'll show you what I've done first of all. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you is how I blended out the background to create that kind of gradient look. So the two colours I am using are Bermuda Bay and Pretty Peacock. So I'm going to start off with the lightest colour, which in this case for once is Bermuda Bay. And starting off on your silicone mat, and you don't have to worry about being too perfect with this. It's not going to look, you know, lovely and blended out first of all. First of all, it's a background. It doesn't have to be perfect. So don't worry if you feel, oh, it's not going well, it's patchy, it's not even. Look, I've got little bumps in it. Sometimes these little extra things can give it a bit more character. Now I should say I'm using Stampin' Up! Shimmery cardstock. Now you need to see what I did there. I didn't go off my mat first of all. Always try and go off the mat first of all to get some of that ink off initially, and then you can always drag it back in. I generally go around in circles. You don't have to, it can be straight lines. And because this is the lightest colour, I'm going to do almost kind of 3/4, or maybe not quite 3/4 up the page, but certainly a little bit over halfway with the first colour. Let's just try and get that. So you can see mine, it's looking a bit patchy, it's not brilliant. I think it's the key to it is just being, you know, slow, steady, or evenly consistent circles. Go over the areas. And don't panic about it. First of all, the ink has got to dry, and that will certainly make it look a bit more even. And like I said, it is a background. So don't worry if it's not perfect. Very few things in this world are perfect. Now this is Pretty Peacock. This is one of the new ink colours, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's quite a dark colour, dark tealy blue. More of a bluey teal than a greeny teal, probably. Like, you know, Bermuda Bay is probably more of a greeny teal. But I like it. I think these two colours work well together. So the size of the card is 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. It's a square card. So this is the biggest square card you can make out of a A4 piece of paper. The card base will be, the card base is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. So I've given me a little bit of room to have some mats and layers in. This is why I wanted to go a bit further over with the Bermuda Bay, because you go a bit further over with the peacock because you want to blend those two colours in. There we go. And I'm just going to go back over the join between the two colours with the Bermuda Bay. I like to go back over with the first colour. It just, I think it helps it. There we go, and that just blends it out. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not too worried that it's not perfect. That to me is fine. I love those two colours together. I think they look really special. Let me move that out of the way. So the next thing I'm going to do with the shimmery cardstock is put the mask on top. There are a set of 3 masks that Stampin' Up! Do. Look at this. Oh, it's still wet from when I last played with it. Again, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Life happens. We haven't got time to worry about it too much. That we're going to have that, and it is, as I said, a background. I just want to try and make sure it's as even as it's going to be. Now I'm just going to take 2 corners down. There we go. So this is just the ordinary Stampin' Up! Embossing powder in white. I do it in white and shimmery. What I will say about the embossing powder is once you open it, you do need to kind of use it quite sharpish in terms of, you know, use it up in 3 months or so or something like that. I do find that if you just leave it unopened and not used for months on end, it does tend to dry out, unfortunately. So this is, it's not quite opaque. You will be able to see the colour underneath it. I'm sure if you wanted it completely opaque, leave the first layer to dry in the mask. Oh no, actually, because you don't really want it to dry in the mask. Well, take the mask off, leave the first layer to dry, and then you could probably put the mask back over and reapply the embossing paste to get the look that you want, the more opaque white look. I quite like it with the colour shining through. What I'm trying to do is to make sure I've got an even coating everywhere. That's the one thing I always have trouble with doing this. I guess you don't have to. You can have it different levels, not smooth, but that's just me being me, really. You can always put it back in the pot as long as you've not mixed it with anything. You can mix the embossing paste with the ink refillers that Stampin' Up! Sell, so you can colour it. You could also use the markers. I wouldn't use blends. I don't think alcohol would go with it. I think it's water based, this. But anything that's water based that you want to use to look at me. I'm just playing now because I can't get it perfect. And that's silly, isn't it? Tell me I'm silly. Just leave it, Fiona, now. You need to leave it. There we go. I've got to leave it. Okay. So make sure you put the lid tightly on. Wipe your spatula immediately. And you also need to go and clean your mask immediately. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll do the butterflies. Right, so just on a piece of tissue, just wiped off the excess embossing paste. Let me just lift this up, then you can see. And peel away from your work. Sure you know that. And peel this away from the work. There you go. And that's the background. So nice, and I hope you can see. Oh, I've got embossing paste everywhere. The kind of depth You can still see the shimmer slightly from the cardstock underneath the ink. So leave that to dry. You can dry it with a heat tool if you're in a real rush, but I suggest you leave it to dry. It only takes a couple of hours to dry. So now the background has dried. So here it is. And what I'm going to do, all my products will be listed in the description box as well. And you'll be able to link straight through to purchase anything that grabs your fancy. This is the Frost White Shimmer Paint. And I'm just using it with a sponge dauber. Always shake it first. As you can hear, it's got a little ball in there. And I'll just dab it into the lid and we'll get plenty of paint. I'm just going to pick out a few. Now you could do all of it. First of all, it's going to make certain areas extra shimmery, extra opaque. What am I doing? And just add that extra little something to the card. Now, I'm not going to be too careful. You could use a paintbrush and be really careful. Just get it on the areas that you wanted. I don't mind if it goes out. And like I said, this is all still a background. The shimmer paint is a lovely product to use. You can colour it. I mean, I would obviously, if you're going to colour it, make sure you pour it into a different container or onto a craft sheet. You can mix it with water. You can add it into a spritzer. Mix it with water or alcohol, whatever your preferred choice is. And it just adds a lovely shimmer. We've got the Frost White and the Champagne colours. And they really, really are beautiful colours. And they just add, and you can see it just adds a little bit, makes certain areas just that more opaque. And obviously it'll add a gorgeous shimmer if you don't put your thumb in it. I use it sometimes to edge cards. Because I think that looks really nice. Okay, and what you do need to do is, I mean, this obviously is dried, the texture paste is more or less dried, it's not completely dried. But you are adding liquid to it. So you don't want to add too much liquid to embossing powder, because then it will really wet and it'll be sticky again. So we'll just give that a few minutes to dry, it won't take long. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is create the butterflies. So I'm going to heat emboss first of all. So I'm just going to go over my cardstock with a stamping buddy or embossing buddy or powder puff, whatever you've got. I'm going to use, this is the Butterfly Gala stamp set. So this is the Butterfly Gala stamp set. So I'm going to stamp the outline in Versamark. I'm going to heat emboss with copper. It's quite good if you're doing multiples of things that are using punches to do them in strips like this, because it just makes it easier. So that can go. Get my scrap, my to-do list. Luckily, not one I've used. It's a bit of scrap paper just to put the embossing powder on. You know the drill. Okay, now I'll heat emboss that. My heat tool doesn't stretch far enough for me to show heat embossing on camera, but I'm sure you've got the idea. With Versamark and embossing powder, the Versamark holds the embossing powder just enough for it to stick, and then you heat it and it melts into place. So I'm going to use Melon Melody, that's Mango Melody even, sorry, and I'm going to just sponge the ink on, because I think I quite like the effect of this. And you don't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. Maybe concentrate the colour on the centre of the butterflies and not so much on the outside, but there is a stamp in the Butterfly Gala stamp set that fills in the colour for you, so you can stamp the colour if you prefer, but I just like this. Nice bit of freehand sponging. And then I drop the ink pad and put my finger in it. That's always useful. There we go. What fun we have. Now, I don't know if I'll use all these butterflies. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But 3 is quite a nice number to have. And this is the butterfly gala punch. And then it neatly punches them out. I was a bit close on that one. Let's see if I can get this. Take your time to line things up. The card is a bit curly, so therefore it can be a little bit tricky to get it into the punch. There we go. Right. So those are all my butterflies ready for the card. So what I've got here is a 5 7/8 card base in Whisper White and a piece of Mango Melody in 5 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. Basically, a 5 7/8 inch by 5 7/8 inch is half an A4. It's basically the biggest square card you can get out of an A4 sheet, without having to kind of do a join at the back, which you could do. So this is going to be a thank you card. My last one said home, and this is the Praiseworthy Pros stamp set. It's actually a bundle. It comes with a set of dies, alphabet dies, and the whole bundle is under £50, the stamp set and the dies. And which for stamp, isn't that typical? Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to layer up some Mango Melody. What I will do with that, I'm going to layer up a square of Mango Melody and a square of Whisper White and stamp it properly so it doesn't smudge, and cover that up. Oh, and then I can add it into the centre. I won't do that now. I'll show you a picture of it when I've done it. How's that? So now, oh, that is so annoying. I'll sort that out in a minute. So now, that's more or less dry. It's not completely dry, but it's more or less dry. I'm just going to add this to the front of my cardstock. I always find it easier to add toppers and stuff. I would normally put the glue on the thing I'm going to stick on rather than the thing I'm sticking to, but because the paint is probably still a little bit wet, I'll do it this way. Try and do it without getting my fingers in the paint. There we go. And that will stick down. There we go. I think those colours look lovely together, don't you? Right. So now I've got my butterflies. Right, let me get my letters. So these are all different sizes, these letters, which are quite nice. So I'm going to do a thank you card. So the pros to go with this would have said, grateful, warmly and deeply appreciative of kindness, thankful for what one has done or experienced. So I like to start from where I want it to end. That's going to have to go up, that can go down actually. So always get your letters lined up first of all. It's a good tip. Well, you can see I'm getting the paint everywhere. Needed a bit longer to dry, didn't it? Never mind, we will get all this in place. Thank you. Right. And then I will start gluing. It will glue to the texture paste. You just need to be a little bit patient with it and don't move it around too much. Where you plonk it is where it needs to go, really. You don't need much glue, she says, has squirted a whole load on. Oh, I forgot about that little spur. So I've got glue on my project, but I'll work that one out later. So let me just try and get... Be a little bit sticky there, but we'll work that one out later. I'm always a bit clumsy with glue sometimes. It's just a little bit more tricky to get this one texture paste. But it will go on there and it will stay, I promise you. You can wait for everything to be finished and dry. I'm rushing slightly. Ugh. I'm a bit annoyed I'm getting glue everywhere, but I'm sure you'll figure out a cleaner way of working. I think it doesn't help that the paint is still a little bit wet as well, but that's the last one. Right, so now I've got the words down, I can then think about where I want to put my butterflies, which some of them might go over some of the messy bits. Like that. Butterflies and flowers, they say, don't they? Are great for covering up mistakes. Just move that one in so it's in within the card. Put another one up there. Actually, put another one down here. So it's covering up the words a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. And then just the last one. Might move that big one actually. Just move that one down further there. That T doesn't want to stay down, does it? So it's kind of the butterflies are moving in a direction there, like that. What we'll do, we'll just move that one a little bit down there, I think. Just need to be a little bit more patient and let the glue dry a little bit longer. And then we have some gems. I'm just going to place some of these gems around. This is the Pick Me Up tool, which is very handy for doing this. Particularly if you've got sticky fingers. And I might just put a few more on the card. I always do things in triangles when it comes to gems. Just think it works a little bit better. Right. I'll quickly show you what I've done to finish the card off. So I've used a Stitch rectangular dies. And I'm just going to put that into the centre to cover up my boo-boo. nobody would ever need no. Okay, so that's that card, and that was the original one. Okay, so you can see I've different ways you can put those down, different words, but it's nice. It's a nice card. I like it, even if I do say so myself. So that's using masks. This was a card designed with inspiration from Priya Satash. I've all got all the links down below. Please have a look at her work. Have a look at the other crafty collabs inspiration that if you can find them. I'll try and put some links down below so you can see everybody else's. But thank you very much. My name's been Fiona Stanton from Feast Papercraft. Bye.